Hello folks, this is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on July 18th, 2018. If you'd like to play my game Decoding the Powerball, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. I have 7 strategies with my game Decoding the Powerball, so strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to demonstrate on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize with the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 22, 41, 42, 49, and 67. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list, and then I'll take the last 3 drawings of numbers and I'll transfer these numbers over to the game card as red numbers. Then I'll do the same thing with the orange area, the green, the blue, and the purple. I have 5 different colors, one to represent each one of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so how this works is, again, there's 69 white ball numbers. I divided them among 5 colors, which equals 13.8. Okay, so my goal is to get either 13 or 14 numbers per color. Okay, so for this drawing here, I have 15 red numbers, 15 orange, 12 green, 11 blue, and 16 purple numbers. And the number of colors change with every single drawing. Okay, so over here to the right, there's 245. This tells me how many color code drawings I kept track of so far. And again, these are the color code drawings, okay? And out of this 245 drawings, 126 drawings have come up a 3-color combination. 87 drawings have come up a 4-color combination. 24 drawings have come up a 2-color combination, and only 9 times out of 245 drawings have all 5 colors come up together, and never has it been just 1 color. Okay, so this number right here in the middle, this number 4, this tells me how many colors just came up in the last drawing. So you can see that there was 1 blue, 1 red, 2 blue, 1 red, 1 orange, and 1 purple for 4 colors total. Okay, so how I use this game is I try to correctly guess what number will come up next. Okay, so more than half the time, it does come up a 3-color combination. Okay, so the overall strategy is this, though, okay? The overall strategy is to eliminate numbers, okay? So again, there's 69 white ball numbers total. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners, so that means 64 numbers can't come up at all, okay? So for me, I just think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. Okay, so to help me pick the numbers that won't be coming up, I'm going to turn to how all 5 colors hardly ever come up together. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these colors won't be coming up and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so for me, I'm going to pick that no orange numbers will be coming up. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing that is because an orange number has come up in the last 9 drawings here. Okay, so I just think that is due to miss. Okay, in fact, the last couple of drawings here, I've been picking no orange numbers and I've been getting burned on it. Okay, so I know it's going to miss at some point. Okay, so again, I don't think any orange numbers are going to come up in this drawing. Okay, so the thing about this game is that we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. Okay, so you may look at it and say, no, I don't think any green numbers are going to come up, or I don't think any blue numbers. Okay, so again, we're all going to look at this differently. All right, but for me, I don't think any orange numbers are going to come up. So I'm going to eliminate the orange numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right to speed things up. And this is what the game card looks like so far with no orange numbers to it. Okay, so when I block out a number like this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket, which includes the power play. Okay, so in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these orange numbers will come up in the next drawing. So if I'm correct with my bet and none of these orange numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 2, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers, okay? And how this works is up at the very top is the master for each individual number, okay? Over here to the right are the numbers that just came up in the drawing, and that was the 22, 41, 42, 49, and 67. Okay, so that turns out to be a 3-group combination. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this down so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, and what I did here is I divided the 69 numbers among 7 groups. Okay, so group number 1 holds the numbers of 1 through 9. And this is the only group that has 9 numbers, where all the other 6 groups have 10 numbers to it. Okay, so the next group is 10 through 19. Then it's the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Again, for 7 groups total. Okay, so there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I know that 2 of these groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it, and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so how I use this game is this square right here. This is good for 5 drawings. Okay, so I like to break things down into 5 for a couple reasons. Okay, the first reason is when I go back into the history of things, I can count pretty easily going 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. Okay, but my theory is that if there's a lot of hits within this certain group of numbers for this 5 drawings, then maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa. Okay, but again, the overall strategy is to eliminate numbers. Okay, so for me, and again, we're all going to look at this differently, but for me, I don't think any 40 numbers are going to come up. Okay, so it just had a bunch of hits here at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 numbers here in this last 5 drawings, and I just think that is due to miss. Okay, so my guess is that no 40 numbers are going to come up in this drawing. So I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to blow this back up, and I'll show you a couple ways that you can use this as well. Okay, so I like to use it to eliminate numbers, but you could look at it and say, gee, no 30 numbers have come up in this last 5 drawings total, and before that there was only 2, so maybe a 30 number should be coming up here pretty soon. Okay, so you can use it that way. You could highlight a number like this 41. You could go down through and see what colors have come up. Okay, so if it hasn't been a certain color and it's in that color code area, then maybe you might want to consider that 41 because it's never been blue and it's in the blue area now, or whatnot. Okay, so one more way that I use this is I try to correctly guess what the next group of numbers will be hit. Okay, so most of the time it's either a 3 group or a 4 group. Okay, once in a while a 5 will pop up, and once in a blue moon a 2 will pop up. Okay, I'll show you an example of a 2 right here. Okay, so you can see that there was a 22 and 23 for one group, and 62, 63, and 66 for a second group, for 2 groups total here. Okay, but more than most of the time it's either a 3 or a 4. Okay, again, a 5 pops up every now and again, and I'm kind of thinking that a 5 is probably going to pop up here pretty soon. Okay, right here. So that's how I use this individual numbers. But again, the overall strategy is to eliminate numbers, so I'm going to eliminate the 40 numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the game card here, and I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far, with no orange numbers from the color code, and now no 40 numbers from the individual numbers. Okay, so if I'm correct with my guesses here, okay, and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, the correct 5 white winning Powerball numbers, have to be within these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm reducing the numbers here. Okay, so the numbers that don't come up, well, the numbers that are left have to come up. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 3, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers. Okay, so basically what I did is I took all the numbers and divided it into 4 different groups. Okay, and I put colors to these groups, and I record where the 5 white winning Powerballs land within these groups. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 white winning numbers that came up were the 22, 41, 42, 49, and 67. Okay, so you can see in the red area down here in the stats, there's a number 1 down here. Okay, and that number 1 represents the 67. Okay, the 67 shares the square with the 19, and I'm going to go over that in a second. Okay, so the 67 is down here, represents that number 1 here in the red area. Okay, in the blue area, you can see that there's a number 1, and that represents that 22. And then there's 3 in the orange area, and that represents the 40, the 41, the 42, and the 49. Okay, so that's all 5 white winning Powerball numbers, and you can see that there's a 0 in the green area. That means that no winning Powerball numbers landed in this green area. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay, so if I could have correctly guessed that none of these green numbers were going to come up, I could have eliminated all these green numbers and gave myself a much better chance at picking the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so again, the overall strategy is to eliminate numbers. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I pick these. Okay, my first pick is option card number 3. Now I have 15 of these option cards, okay, and they all have the same colors as far as red, blue, orange, green, okay. So you can see where the red area is here, how I broke this up into 4 different groups, and this is the red numbers. And then over here in option card number 2, you can see where the red numbers are. And then in number 3, how I broke up the numbers into different groups here, and you can see where the red numbers are here. Option card 4, 5, 6. Okay, so these are all different combinations of numbers here. So if I can correctly guess at just even one of these, then I can reduce the numbers by at least 16 or 17 numbers. Okay, so again, my first pick is going to be option card number 3, no green numbers. Okay, so again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. But for me, I don't think any green numbers are going to come up. And the reason why is because if this is a 1 right here, then this means that this has to be a 0. Okay? And this combination of 1 that follows a 1 is pretty popular. Okay? So as I go down through, you can see that here's one over here. Okay? And as I keep on going down, you can see one right here. Okay? A couple right here. All right, so this hasn't happened very often in this green area over here. Okay, so I just think that it's due to happen. All right, so this is what I think is going to happen. I think that this is going to be a 1 that follows a 1, and I think that this is going to be a 0, which means I don't believe that any of these green numbers are going to come up. Okay, so If I don't think they're going to come up, then I want to get rid of them. And I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, let me just take care of this. Okay, so I go back to the game card, and I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far. Again, with no orange numbers from the color code, no 40 numbers from the individual numbers, and now no group 1 option card number 3, no green numbers. Okay, so if I'm correct with my guesses here, and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1 to make another pick. And my next pick is going to be option card number 12, no blue numbers. Okay, so here's option card number 12, and the reason why I'm picking this one, and again, we're all going to look at this differently, but I think there's going to be 3 zeros in a row here, like this, okay? That happens every now and again. Over here, you can see that there was a bunch of zeros in a row, but here's one with 3 right here, okay? So the reason why I'm picking this one is, as I go down through, you can see that here's another 3 over here, okay? 1, 2, 3, okay, and as I keep on going down, you can see that this is the only one with 3 or more zeros to it in this blue area. Okay, so I just think that it's due to happen again. Okay, so again, I think there's going to be a 0 right here, which means I don't believe that any of these blue numbers are going to be coming up. So I want to get rid of them. And I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far with no blue numbers to it now. Okay, so I'm all done picking from group 1. Okay, that's all I feel comfortable picking with. Sometimes I'll pick 3 or 4 out of this, all right? It all depends on your comfort level, okay? So I'm going to go to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 2 numbers, okay? So much like group 1, where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups, okay? So it's just a little different way of looking at groups of numbers, okay? So maybe you heard the term, the saying, divide and conquer. This is kind of what I'm doing with the Powerball here. I'm dividing it into different sections so it's easier to pick, okay? So I wanted to go over how some numbers share the square here, okay? So I'm back to the game card, all right? So here you can see some numbers off to the left-hand side here, okay? So this 8 shares the square with the 66, the 19 with the 67, and the 25 with the 65, okay? And what this means is that if I get rid of all these numbers as a group, I'm going to get rid of the 19 and the 25 at the same time, okay? Because it's part of the group, okay? So this is what I'm doing. I'm dividing the numbers into different groups and just trying to predict whether they're going to come up or not come up in the drawing, okay? Ideally, I want to pick the numbers that aren't going to come up, okay? So the reason why I have these numbers off here to the left side is because of the color code, okay? So for this drawing here, it just happens to be the 8 and the 66 both happen to be purple. The 19 and the 67 both happen to be red, and the 25 and the 65 both happen to be green, okay? But that doesn't happen all the time, okay? Sometimes the 25 will be blue and the 65 will be orange, okay? So instead of having this 25 crammed in here with the 65, I need some separation because of the color code, okay? So in other words, let's say that this 65 was orange, and I got rid of all the orange numbers. I would get rid of the 65, but the 25 would still be in play because I didn't get rid of this as a group. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2. And I want to show you how this works. Okay, so I'm going to blow this up just a little bit. And I'm going to concentrate on these red numbers right here. Okay, down here in the stats, you can see that I break things down into 5 drawings. Okay, and the reason why I do that is because I want to see a majority. Okay, so how this works is this 0 right here. This means that no winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area. Okay, and of course this 2 right here means that 2 out of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area. Okay, so you can see that there's 8 squares here. Okay, but there's actually 9 numbers because the 25 and the 65 share the square. Okay, so if I get rid of these red numbers, I'm going to get rid of the 25 and the 65 as a group. Okay, so the reason why I break things down into 5 here is, again, to show me a majority. Okay, so you can see that there was 3 zeros here. All right, so the majority was misses. Okay, so when that happens, I color the background blue for cold. You can see the next one down, there was 3 hits, so the majority is hits. And when that happens, I colored the background red for hot. Okay, so as I go down through the history of things, this is the start, and down here is current. Okay, so down here, up at the very beginning, when I started to record these things, you can see that that red area was pretty cold. Then it heated up, and then it, got cold and heated up again. Okay, so the thing is that since the lottery is so random, I know that nothing can stay cold forever, and I know that nothing can stay hot forever. Okay, so when I see something like this over here, where it's been really, really hot, I know that it's going to turn cold eventually. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, and I think it's going to start to happen right now. I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so this represents these purple numbers right here. Okay, so I'm going to go down from the start and work my way down, and you can see that everything was kind of like 50-50 here, and then it got really, really hot. Okay, and then it cooled down just a little bit, then it got really hot again, and now I think it's going to start to cool down again. Okay, so I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so if that happens, that means that none of these purple numbers will be coming up. So I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this back down to 90. I'm going to scroll to the right. Okay, and you can read underneath group 2, option card number 1, no purple numbers, and you can see that there's no purple numbers here anymore. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2 for another pick. I got a couple picks here. Okay, and my next pick is option card number 4, no yellow numbers. Okay, so here's the stats for the yellow, and as I head down through, you can see that things got pretty hot, and they kind of stayed hot. Okay, so I know eventually it's going to turn cold, and I think it's going to start now. Okay, so I don't think that any of these yellow numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. Okay, and this is what the game card looks like so far. You can see that there's no yellow numbers here anymore. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2. And my next pick is option card number 8, no orange numbers. And again, I have 15 of these option cards here in group 2 as well. So I'm going to go to option card number 8 because this is the one that I feel comfortable picking at. And I don't think any orange numbers are going to come up. Okay, so this is the stats for the orange. And as I head down through, the reason why I'm picking this one is because I see this thing of miss, hit, miss, hit, miss, hit, miss, hit, miss, hit, miss. And now I think it's going to double up with another 0 right here. Okay, so these are the things that I look for. Okay, and you may look for other things. Okay, we're all going to look at this differently. But I don't think any orange numbers are going to come up. So I don't think the 7, 14, 23, 30 39, 46, 55, or 62 are going to come up in the drawing, okay? So since I don't think they're going to come up, I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so you can see that all those numbers are gone now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2. And my next pick is going to be option card number 9, no red numbers. Okay, so here's option card number 9. Here's the red area. And as I head down through, you can see that things got a little hot. And then, you know, things are going back and forth, back and forth. So this had 4 drawings in a row where it had a hit, and now I think it's just going to have a miss to it. Okay, so I don't think any red numbers in option card number 9 are going to come up, and that means the 1, 15, 22, 28, 33, 47, 54, and 60 I don't think are going to come up. So I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so now I'm going to scroll to the left. And you can read underneath group 2, option card number 9, no red numbers. Okay, so those are all gone now. Okay, so again, if I'm correct with my picks and none of these blocked out numbers come up, and the key word here is if none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2 for a couple more picks. And my next pick is going to be option card number 11, no orange numbers. Okay, so here's the stats for the orange, and as I head down through, you can see that things got really, really hot. It kind of stayed hot, and now I think they're going to cool off a little bit. I think there's going to be a 0 here, okay, which means that a lot of numbers are going to be taken off because I have the 66, and that shares the square with the 8. So it's actually the 8, 16, 66, and over here, the 19 shares the square with the 67, so it's actually the 19, 27, and 67. So there's 6 numbers, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers that I would eliminate here. Okay, so the groups of numbers vary from either 8 to 10 or maybe 11, but it's just all groups of numbers. Okay, so here's the stats for the orange. And I think I just went over this, okay? So you can see that was really, really hot, and now I'm going to get rid of them. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the game card. I'm going to scroll to the left. And you can read underneath group 2, option card number 11, no orange numbers. Okay, so I'm really getting the numbers down here now. Okay, so I'm going to go back for one last one. Again, I have 15 of these option cards. But my last pick is here in option card number 12. I don't believe any gray numbers are going to come up. So as I go down through, you can see that things were more cold than hot. And then all of a sudden it went on a hot streak. And now I think it's going to go on a cold streak. Okay, so I think there's going to be a 0 right here, which means I don't believe that any of these gray numbers are going to come up. So I want to get rid of them. I think the only one left is the 2 and the 17 here. Okay, so as I scroll to the left, you can see that 2 and the 17 are gone. Okay, so that's all I'm going to eliminate. Okay, that's all I feel comfortable doing. All right, so again, I started off with 69 white ball numbers, and now I'm down to 4 right here, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. Okay, so if I'm correct with my guesses here, okay, and again, the key word here is if. If I'm correct with my guesses and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, the correct 5 white winning Powerball numbers, have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so that's going to lead me to my next strategy. And that's strategy number 5, the 50-50 picks. Okay, so a couple years ago, okay, I reduced the numbers down to 10 numbers here on the game card, and the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed within these 10 numbers. Okay, so when that happened, that's when I said to myself, gee, I think I'm really on to something here. Okay, I did what I wanted to do. I reduced the numbers and gave myself a much better chance at winning a prize. Okay, so I only picked 2 numbers out of the 10. I only got 2 right, so I came up with this 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks, and how this works is, again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers, so there has to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. Okay, so I like to keep track of that and try to correctly guess what the majority will be for the upcoming drawing. Okay, so how this works is, so far I kept track of 290 drawings, and out of this 290, 150 have been the majority of odd numbers. 140 have been the majority of even numbers. Okay, so how I use this, or how I break it down, is, again, I like to break it down into 5 because it shows me a majority. Okay, so the majority of the last 5 drawings were odd numbers, 5 drawings to 0. Okay, before that it was 4-to-1 odds, and before that it was 3-to-2 odds, and then before that it was evens. So I like to go down and then work my way up. Okay, so because there's 3 odd in a row here, okay, 15 drawings of odd numbers, the majority of odd numbers coming up, I just have to think that the evens are going to start to come around here. Okay, so for this next drawing, I think more even numbers are going to come up. Okay, so when I pick what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want at least 3 of them to be even numbers. Okay, so over here, the next one I have is high and low. So all the numbers in red are considered high. All the numbers in blue are considered low. Okay, so far it's been 143 for the majority to the high side and 147 to the majority of the low side. And then I have left and right. Okay, all the numbers in the red area are to the left, and the one in the blue is to the right. So it's 144 drawings have been the majority to the left side, and 146 to the right side. Okay, and the last one I have is this red and blue area here, and 168 drawings have been the majority to the red side. Okay, and 122 have been the majority to the blue side. Okay, so I think that there's going to be more blue coming up. Okay, I believe that eventually this blue is going to catch up and overtake this red at some point. Okay, but I just think that more blue numbers are going to come up, so I want to concentrate on this area right here. Okay, so the last thing I have in here is the red ball itself. Okay, I do have something for it. Okay, and if you don't know how the Powerball lottery works, there's 69 white ball numbers, and you have to correctly guess 5 out of the 69 numbers. And then there's 26 red ball numbers, and you have to correctly guess 1 number out of that. Okay, so if you get all 6 numbers, you win the jackpot. And this jackpot for this drawing is 110 million. Okay, but for me, my goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win that $2 million prize with the power play option. Okay, so if I get the Powerball correct, then big bonus for me, right? But we all have our goals here. So if you're looking at this side right here, this column, okay, what I did is I took the 26 numbers and divided it into 2. Okay, so if you see a blue number, that's considered low, 1 to 13. If you see a red number, that's considered high, 14 to 26. And over here, if you're looking at this column, if you see a red number, then that means it's odds. And if you see a blue number, that means it's evens. Okay, so for me, I like looking at colors like this. Okay, so I think that this is going to stay blue over here. Okay, so I think the red number, the Powerball number, will be a low number. And over here, I think it will be blue as well. Okay, so I think the Powerball number will be a low, even number. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll down to the right. I'm going to scroll down. And you can see the 50-50 picks. I think the ones that I feel comfortable picking at is that I think there's going to be more even numbers than odd. And I think there's going to be more in this area right here. Okay, so this blue area right here. Okay, so we're going to go to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 6, picking the numbers I hope will hit from group 2. Okay, so again, I have 15 of these option cards here on group 2. I'll show you all 15. Okay, there's 13, 14, and 15. Okay, and they all have the same colors. Okay, as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. It's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other, from each different option card. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that there's 15 red areas, there's 15 blue areas, 15 orange, and so on. Okay, so I like to keep track of that, and I call that the Group 2 overview. Okay, so I'm going to go to that right now, and I'll show you what the Group 2 overview is. Okay, so this is the Group 2 overview right here. Okay, so as I scroll down here, again, I said that there was 15 red areas. Okay, so when I record how many hit in those red areas and how many missed in that red area. Okay, so last drawing was 7 hits. 7 option cards have hits to it, and 8 option cards had misses to it. Okay, so when it comes to getting the majority, 8 is the magic number here. 8 will give me the majority of whatever. Okay, so you can see that in this last one, there was 8 misses and 7 hits, so the majority was misses, so I colored the background blue for cold. Okay, over here you can see in the orange area that there was 10 hits and 5 misses among those 15 option cards, so the majority was hits, so I colored the background red for hot. Okay, so again, this is where I just kind of look at the colors again, okay, and try to correctly guess what's going to be red and blue here. Okay, so right now I'm looking at what I think is going to be a red area. And I think there's going to be a red area in this orange, okay? And I think there's going to be a red area over here in this gray. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll to the right. And you can see underneath that I said lots of hits in the orange and gray areas of group 2. Okay, so how this works is, I'm sorry, it kind of jumped the gun here. How this works is sorry, this is kind of messing me up here. Okay, so this 1 through 15 here, this represents the option cards. Okay, so as I go back to group 2 for the option cards, you can see that group 1 here, I'm looking for the orange area and the gray area. Okay, so for the orange, it runs from the 3 to the 59, and the gray runs from the 7 to the 63. Okay, so the 3 to the 59, you can see that the 11 and the 35 are still alive here. Okay, so I wrote those down. And over here, the 7 to the 63, you can see that there's nothing left, so I put a 0 here. Okay, so I did that with all 15 option cards, and these are the numbers that it broke out to. Okay, so I'm going to go to the last strategy. Strategy number 7, picking my numbers. Okay, so the numbers that I'm going to go with for this drawing are, okay, so the numbers that I'm going to go with this drawing are the 6, 10, 18, 35, and 36. Okay, so with this combination of numbers, this will give me 10 hits, 5 misses for those 15 option cards in the orange areas. And this will give me 8 hits, 7 misses in the option cards in the gray areas. Okay, so I'll give you a visual on here. Okay, so again, I think there was going to be 10 hits, 5 misses in that orange area. Okay, so there's the 10 and the 5. Okay, so it's more than 8, so I'm going to color that red. This is what I hope will happen. Okay, So I just want to give you a visual on things here, okay? Okay, so that's what I think is going to happen. And over here in the gray area, again, I think this is going to be an 8 and a 7. And since it's 8 or more, the majority is hits. Okay, so that's what I hope is going to happen here. Okay, so again, the numbers that I'm going to go with for this drawing are the 6, 10, 18, 35, and 36. Okay, so I said that I thought there was going to be lots of even numbers here, okay, from the 50-50 picks. Okay, so you can see that the 6, 10, 18, and 36 will make that happen, give me the majority of even numbers. And I thought there was going to be more numbers in this blue area, okay, and you can see that the 6, 35, and 36 will make that happen here. Okay, so this is how I use the game. Okay, so we're all going to look at this differently, so we're all going to come up with a different result. Okay, but for me, I'm going to go with the 6, 10, 18, 35, and 36. Okay, so if you like to play my game, if you're interested in playing, then email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Again, that's decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Okay, I charge $10 a month, and that's to update everything so you could use the game. Okay, and all payments are made through PayPal. Okay, so I appreciate you watching. If you like this channel, then please subscribe. Okay, and as always, I'd like to wish everybody the best of luck with your picks.